Really easy here. With 18, as soon as you see a fall in the value of the pound, you know you're going to be writing WIDEC. So imports are going to be dear, exports are going to be cheap. So is there going to be an increase in agri demand? Yes, there is, because exports are cheap, so there's going to be more demand for our goods. Right, is it going to cause a fall in raw material prices? No, it will cause a rise because imports are dear. So if we buy raw materials from abroad, they'll get more expensive. A rise in euro prices of UK exports? No, it's going to cause a fall in UK prices. And the reduction in the rate of interest is ridiculous and pointless. A nice easy one here. Which of the following is the correct statement about monetary policy? Is it mainly used to affect the supply side of the economy? No. It's mainly used to affect demand side, but it will affect the supply side later on, maybe. So whenever the government uses contractionary fiscal policy, the Bank of England will use expansionary monetary policy to offset it. That's not true at all. At the minute, they are doing that in the economy, but it just happens it's that way at the minute. Normally, you try and do both quite similar. Right, C, higher interest rates may reduce inflationary pressure, but they may also reduce employment. So the answer is C. That makes a lot of sense. Whenever there's high interest rates, it's going to reduce the amount of demand in the economy, so it will reduce the amount of inflation. But the problem is, as demand goes down, there will be less jobs available. And then D, monetary policy may involve the expansion of the money supply to reduce aggregate demand. That's wrong, because if they expand the money supply, AD will go up. Okay, it's saying we've got a large deficit on our balance of payments, which means we are importing more than we're exporting. Right, so what's going to happen? What's the best way to reduce this? Would reducing aggregate supply help this? No, it wouldn't, because if we supply more, we're more likely to be able to supply more stuff abroad. Okay, if we reduce a fall in the exchange rate, it'd be WIDEC, imports dear, exports cheap, and that would be really good for our trade balance. So the answer is B. Right, if we reduce income tax rates, people will have higher AD. AD will be going up, which means they could buy more imports, so it'd be bad. And then D, if there's a fall in labour productivity, our goods would become less competitive abroad, so no one would buy them. So that answer's wrong. This is one which way it looks really scary, but it's actually really easy. So we've got a rise in productivity. Rise in productivity, and an increase in imports into a country. So a rise in productivity would affect a firm's SRAS. If a firm's more productive, their cost of production would go down. So SRAS would be going to the right. So it started off, where did it start? It started off at X, and we know now the line's gone to this point, it's gone this way. Then it said there's going to be an increase in imports into the economy. That's bad for AD, so AD would be going down. So we've got to have one where AD goes down, and it's here. So the new answer is point U, because you can see that's where I've crossed. Okay, in this question, they're saying the economy's got two major problems. One is that the long-run trend rate of growth is declining. That means the economy's still growing, but at a slower rate. And secondly, it's also saying the economy is experiencing an increase in the rate of unemployment. Right, so what we've got is an economy which is getting slightly better. It's still growing, but only at a small rate. And we've actually got an increase in rate of unemployment. Right, what's going to be the best way of dealing with this? Right, an expansionary something is going to be a good idea to try and get the unemployment better. And also, you'd assume to try and keep the trend rate growing, you need to increase supply as well. So an expansionary fiscal policy would make sense, so that part is good. And a restrictive monetary policy, well, that's stupid because it will counteract it. So A is definitely wrong. Right, restrictive monetary policy, that's wrong straight away because they're trying to make AD go up. C, an expansionary monetary policy, that makes sense. And supply side measures, that's the right answer because the expansionary monetary policy will make AD go up, and the supply side measures will make the AS start going up more, which is what they want. And obviously D is wrong because it's restrictive, so it can't make any sense. So the answer is C. Okay, reducing inflationary pressures in the UK. There could be two ways they're going at this. They're either going to be going about AD reducing to reduce inflation, or about a firm's cost of production going down. Because the first one, if AD went down, it would reduce demand pull inflation. And if the cost of production went down, it would reduce cost push inflation. So it's going to be something about those two. So anyway, an increase in labour productivity, that would reduce a firm's cost of production. So that would actually reduce inflationary pressures. So the answer is A. Right, a fall in the value of the pound, WIDEC, imports dear, exports cheap. That would make demand go up. So that would cause inflation, so that's bad. the emergence of a positive output gap. You know, whenever there's a positive output gap, there could be inflation because demand's too high. And a reduction in the rate of interest would make AD go up, so that would cause inflation. So the only answer is A. Okay, here, a lot of people might just think A straight away, but it's not. A negative output gap does not mean we're in recession. It just means we're growing at a slower rate than we are capable of growing. So, or we're predicted to grow, so that's wrong. Right, B is suffering from demand pull inflation. That's wrong because you're going to get inflation potentially when there's a positive output gap. Is operating inside its PPF. That's the right answer. Whenever there's a negative output gap, all it means is this is a PPF and this is where the economy is. And on the other diagram, it looks like that, and the negative output gap is down by here. Right, D has a productive potential below the current level of GDP. No, I can see why you might say that. It's kind of like, it's kind of the right idea, but it's just slightly wrong, because it's kind of the wrong way around. It doesn't make any sense. So the answer is C. This question comes up loads. It's a bit stupid. It's always the institutional structure of the economy. It just is. So whenever that question comes up, just accept it. That's what it is. Everything else is wrong. It is D.